Today, I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite Nhl DFS plays for this Thursday, October 12th slate. Like I always do, I'm going to break down a couple of my favorite line stacks, then dive into some of my favorite individual plays, and then we'll wrap up the video talking 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. With that being said, let's dive right into this. Now, for starters, we got 7 games here on this slate tonight. Let's go through those in the Vegas odds here quickly. First one we got is the Red Wings taking on the Devils, where the Devils are favored at minus 260. Flyers are taking on the Blue Jackets, where the Blue Jackets are favored at minus 130. We got the Rangers taking on the Sabres, where the Rags are favored at minus 120. Blues taking on the Stars, where the Stars are at minus 205. Panthers taking on the Wild, where Minnesota's favored at minus 125. Kraken and Predators here, a minus 110 even split. And then the Golden Knights taking on the Sharks, where Vegas is favored at minus 245. And outside of that game between the Kraken and Predators, which has an over-under of 6 goals, every other game has an over-under of 6.5 goals. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for tonight. Starting with that first line for the New Jersey Devils, we got Nico Hischier centering Timo Meier and Dawson Mercer. Now, for what it's worth, everyone, I am 100% on board playing that Devils second line too, with Jack Hughes centering Jesper Bratt and Tyler Toffoli, but I suspect the Hughes line will be more popular than the Hischier line, so I kind of like pivoting to this here. Either way, both of these lines are going to have tremendous upside all year long, and I love the correlation you get with either line. The Hughes line technically plays on the second power play together, and then this Hischier line all play on the number 1 power play together, giving you that strong correlation, and a good matchup here to start the season at home against the Detroit Red Wings. And then another line stack that I like here tonight that I think should fly under the radar a little bit is that second line for the Minnesota Wild. We got Joel Eriksson centering Matt Boldy and Marcus Johansson, taking on the Florida Panthers at home, and I think a lot of people are going to look at that right away and go, okay, they just made it to the Stanley Cup last year, a really good team, and don't get me wrong, they are going to be a good team, but they're also going to be missing their top 2 defensemen to start the season with Brandon Montour and Aaron Ekblad, so I like that for Minnesota right away. I also like that Eriksson and Boldy play up on the number 1 power play, Johansson plays down on the second, and they should see some time on the power play here tonight as the Panthers led the entire NHL last year and minor penalties taken. Now, obviously, they could be a more disciplined team here this year. That's kind of what we have to work with here early on in the season, last year's stats, so it's always about a 1 to 2 week learning period for me when it comes to the new NHL season. Once a team has about 5 games under their belt, we can definitely figure out how that team looks and how they're going to play. Now, folks, before we dive into these individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would truly appreciate that. Every like, comment, and sub on this channel truly goes a long way, and we're trying to build a brand here at Slydog Sports, so help us out if you can. Also want to let you know I do have a free Discord channel as well. We have a great group of people in there talking hockey, PrizePicks, and really a number of different sports. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. Alright, now let's dive into some of these individual plays here, and we're going to kick it off with the forwards. One guy I would be willing to spend up for here tonight is Travis Konechny of the Philadelphia Flyers, who's sitting at $7,500 on Draftkings in a good matchup on the road against the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's coming off of a career year here in goals and points per game. He did miss part of the season, but racked up 31 goals and averaged over a point per game. Like I said, this is a good spot for him to get right back on track here against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who allowed the second most goals per game last season at 4.01. Konechny's going to play up on the first line in number 1 power play and just play big minutes in general. The next guy I got on my list here then is Jonathan Marchessault of the Vegas Golden Knights, sitting at $6,500 on DraftKings tonight in a good matchup against the San Jose Sharks. It's a small sample size. We have just 1 game to go off of, but in that first game against the Seattle Kraken, Marchessault was very good. He led all Vegas forwards in Corsi percentage and expected goals percentage. Again, a small sample size, but you like to see him get off to the season on the right foot. Again, a good matchup here against the San Jose Sharks tonight, who allowed 3.84 goals per game last season, the 3rd most in the NHL, and Marchessault's going to play big minutes here tonight on that first line and number 1 power play. Now, going back to this game here between the Blue Jackets and Flyers, I got Boone Jenner on my list here for Columbus at $5,500 on DraftKings, and for what it's worth, everyone, this is more of a contrarian GPP only play, but I like this game in general here between the Blue Jackets and Flyers. 2 bad defenses that could lead to a high high-scoring game. And while Boone Jenner doesn't play on the first line anymore, he's down on the third line, he's still going to get time on that number one power play and played very well against Philadelphia last year, putting up 4 goals in just 2 games. I then got Tyler Seguin of the Dallas Stars on my list here, sitting at $4,700 on DraftKings in a matchup at home against the St. Louis Blues, and this is going to be an opportunity play here, assuming that Roope Hintz does not play tonight. He is expected to be out. I don't have an official word as I record this morning, but Hintz did practice yesterday, did not take line rushes, and we saw Seguin up on that first line with Robertson and Pavelski, and also playing on the number one power play, so I have to assume that Roope will not play tonight. We saw Seguin basically fill in this role last year when Hintz missed some time, and he played very well with Robertson and Pavelski, so considering the price here at $4,700, I think it's a nice value play. And then I'm going to go back to the well here with Tommy Novak of the Nashville Predators, sitting at $4,700 on DraftKings tonight in a matchup at home against the Seattle Kraken. You know, I talked about his stats the other day, was solid last year, putting up 17 goals, 26 assists, 43 points in 51 games. After being called up from the AHL, he scored a goal in their first game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, had 3 shots on net, and was second on the team in expected goals. He's still down on the third line, but playing up on the number one power play and logging solid minutes in general. So again, at $4,700, I do like that price. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and I do want to mention there's some elite defensemen we could spend up for here today. Dougie Hamilton, Roman Josi, Rasmus Dahlin, Adam Fox. I have no problem doing that. I'm going to try and get Dougie Hamilton into one of my lineups with that Nico Hischier line playing on the number one power play together. But there's also some nice value at this position here today, and I wanted to highlight that. First one being Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars, sitting at $5,600 on DraftKings. Matchup at home tonight against the St. Louis Blues, and he's a great stacking piece with that Stars first line, whether it be Seguin, Robertson, or Pavelski, or you mix in all 4 of those guys on the number one power play together. Heiskanen himself is coming off a career year in assists was 62, and points was 73, and 79 regular season games. Almost a point per game player, and I definitely think he could get there this year. And he's just a guy who plays big minutes in general. We should see him play around 24 plus minutes here tonight, and in all situations. The next guy I got on my list here then is Jacob Trouba of the New York Rangers, sitting at $4,400 on DraftKings, and that's really what caught my attention here. They are on the road against the Buffalo Sabres, a team that certainly has improved, but this is a very well-rounded defenseman here who can rack up DraftKings points in a number of different ways, whether it be points, shots on net, or block shots. He plays about 21 plus minutes and plays big minutes on the penalty kill, and it sounds like he has been bumped off the number 2 power play, but honestly I would not be surprised if we see him on there again tonight. He's notoriously played there over the past couple of seasons, and he's someone who usually floats in the mid 5K range on DraftKings, so this is a nice discount here at $4,400. Now, one of the nice defenseman value plays on this slate is going to be Luke Hughes of the New Jersey Devils, sitting at $3,200 on DraftKings, again playing the Detroit Red Wings. You can play him as a one-off at this price or stack him up with that Jack Hughes line. Go with a little brother narrative there if you wanted to, because they do play on the same power play together. And Hughes himself has only played 5 NHL games so far, but had 1 goal, 3 assists in those 5 games, and he's an offensive talent just like his brother Jack, so at this price at $3,200, I do like it. And then if you're really looking to save some money here tonight at the defenseman position, Calen Addison of the Minnesota Wild stuck out to me. He's the bare minimum price on DraftKings at $2,500. Again, at home here tonight against the Florida Panthers. And we could certainly play him as a one-off, but I prefer to stack him up with that Wild number 1 power play because, again, the Panthers led the entire NHL in minor penalties taken last season. And then I got a couple of goaltenders there for you. First one I want to highlight is Philip Gustafsson of the Minnesota Wild, sitting at $7,900 on DraftKings tonight. Again, playing the Florida Panthers. Minnesota is favored at home at -125. And again, let's not forget, Florida missing their top 2 defensemen, but this is a team that loves to shoot the puck, or at least they did last year. Again, just going off of those stats, that's all we have to work with. They basically averaged 37 shots on net per game last season, the most in the NHL, and Gus was one of the best goalies in the league last year, with a goals allowed average of 2.1 .813 and a save percentage of .930. And then with the other goaltender here, I am willing to go back to the well with UC Saros of the Nashville Predators, sitting at $7,700 on DraftKings tonight. Look, he wasn't great in Game 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but like I said, one of the best goalies in the NHL, someone who truly has 25, 30-plus DraftKings point upside. We have this matchup at home here tonight against the Seattle Kraken, which has the lowest over-under on this 7-game slate. I'm kind of hoping it finishes around 3-2, and Saros is on the winning side of that. And as always, going to wrap up this video here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. First guy that I got on my list here is Philip Hedl of the New York Rangers. Kind of caught me by surprise when looking into the regs yesterday. He is playing up on the second line compared to the third line like he did last year, so he's going to be centering Artemi Panarin. I like that for starters right away, and he's also going to get time on that number 2 power play, so it's definitely a newer role for him, but he played well last year and had some really big moments, so at $3,800, I kind of like that price there, especially playing with Panarin. The next guy I got on my list is Tyler Toffoli, and just like Pierre-Luc Dubois yesterday for the LA Kings, DraftKings just got the pricing wrong on this. Sure, they're not always going to perform when they're this cheap, but it's just hard to ignore how mispriced these guys are. Toffoli's playing on the same line with Jack Hughes, same power play as well. He's truly going to have point per game potential this year in this offense, so at $3,600, I will take advantage of it. It's not going to be long before he's in the 5 or 6K range. And then I went with Adam Fantilli here. I actually went back and forth with a few different guys. I think Benson of the Buffalo Sabres at $2,500 is interesting as a rookie. Yeah, Kevin Hayes at $2,800 for the St. Louis Blues. But I wanted to put in Fantilli here at $3,000. Again, kind of like that game in general between the Blue Jackets and Flyers. He's a rookie. We really don't know what to expect, but from what we've seen so far in the preseason and what he did at Michigan, this kid is loaded with talent. Now, to conclude this video here, I did want to give a PrizePicks update to everyone because I know a lot of people have been asking about that. Unfortunately, I'm in a situation where Colorado has basically banned PrizePicks for NHL outside of fantasy scores. I tried to see if I could still get a look at the board, talk to their support team last night for a little bit, but they're just not going to do it for me. So unfortunately, I don't even have the insight to see what these props are on PrizePicks on a daily basis. Really a bummer because I like giving those picks to you guys, but I can't suggest this enough. Join the Discord. It is completely free to do so. Link in the description below. If I can't give out PrizePicks, there's a great group of people in there still doing so. I'm still going to try and get out some sportsbook picks. I know they're not always relative, but yeah, maybe we can find a workaround there a little bit. But yeah, not the news I wanted to give on PrizePicks, but I know a lot of these states are cracking down, and unfortunately, Colorado has been one of those states. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 7-game slate. And in the meantime, I'm out of here.